course, just walking inside any theater gives me a thrill.
It's been so lovely, Tony. I hate to have it over.
Oh, is it over? Do I have to go right away?
Not if you don't want to.
I don't.
Would you like a cold drink?
Wonderful.
I'll see what's in the icebox. Want to come along?
Oh, I'd follow you to the ends of the earth.
Oh, just the kitchen is enough. Lucky you're not hungry, Mr. K. An icebox full of cornflakes. That gives you a rough idea of the sycamores.
Of course. Why, they make these bottle openers for singer midgets. I never was able to... Oh! All over my hand.
I'll take mine in a glass if you don't mind.
Oh, there you are, a foaming beaker.
Anyhow, it's cold.
Now, if you'll please be seated, I'd like to offer a toast.
We are seated.
Miss Sycamore, to you.
Mr. Kirby, to you.
I wouldn't trade 1 minute of this evening for all the rice in China.
Really?
Cross my heart.
Is there, much rice in China?
Terrific. Didn't you read Pearl Buck's novel, The Good Earth?
No.
I suppose I ought to go.
Is it very late?
Very. I don't want to go.
I don't want you to.
All right, I won't. When do you get your vacation?
Last 2 weeks in August.
Oh, I might take mine then, too.
Really?
What are you going to do?
I don't know. I hadn't much thought about it.
Going away, do you think?
I might not. I like the city in the summertime.
I do, too.
But you always go up to Maine, don't you?
Why, yes, but I'm sure I would like the city in the summertime. That is, I'd like it if... you know what I mean, Alice. I'd love it if you were here.
Well, I'd like it if you were here, Tony.
You know what you're saying, don't you?
What?
That you'd rather spend the summer with me than anybody else.
It looks that way, doesn't it?
Well, if that's true about the summer, how would you feel about the winter?
Yes, I'd like that too.
Well, then comes the spring and autumn, if you could clear your way about those, Miss Sycamore.
Yes.
Well, I guess that's the whole year. We haven't forgotten anything, have we?
No.
Well, then.
At you, what time is it? Oh, oh goodness, oh well. I didn't mean to, interrupt anything.
Not at all, Mrs. Sycamore.
Oh, I just came down for
No,
my
Mother.
manuscript. Oh, here it is. Sex takes a holiday. Well, I'd better be going.
Good night, Mrs. Sycamore.
I think you could call me Penny. At least I'd like that. Wouldn't you, Alice?
Don't worry, Tony, that's Father.
This time of night?
Any time of day, any time of night.
You know, you're more beautiful, more lovely, more adorable than anybody else in the world.
Don't, Tony, I can't.
What?
I can't, Tony.
Darling, just because your mother... all mothers are like that, Alice. And Penny's a darling. You see, I'm even calling her Penny.
I don't mean that. Look, Tony, this is something I should have said a long time ago, but I didn't have the courage. I let myself be so swept away because I loved you so.
Darling.
No, wait, Tony. I need to make it clear to you. You're of a different world, of a whole other people. Oh, I don't mean money or socially, that's too silly, but your family and mine, it just wouldn't work, Tony. It just wouldn't work.
Okay, have it your way. She can't dance. That's why they pay her all that money.
Well,
because she
I don't
can't
call that
dance.
dancing what she does. Oh, hello! Look, Ad and I just went to see Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers. Do you think she can dance, Mr. Kirby?
Why, yes, I always thought so.
What does she do anyhow? Now look, you're Fred Astaire and I'm Ginger Rogers.
Don't, Essie. Essie, you're just as good as Ginger Rogers, we all agree.
You see, Ed?
Come on, Essie, we're butting in here.
But they've been together all night. Oh, all right. Good night, Mr. Kirby.
Essie, did you ask Grandpa about having that baby?
Oh, yeah, he said go right ahead.
You see? That's what it would be like always.
But I didn't mind that. Besides, we're not going to live with our families. It's just you and I.
No, it isn't. It's never quite that. I love them, Tony. I love them deeply. Some people just cut away, but I never could. I know they do rather strange things. I never know what to expect next, but they're gay and they're fun, and I don't know, there's a kind of nobility about them. And the way they just don't care about things that people give their whole lives to. They're really wonderful, Tony.
Darling, you talk as though only you could understand them. That's not true. Why? I fell in love with them tonight.
But your family, Tony, I'd want you and everything about you and everything about me to be one. I couldn't just start out with a part of me that you didn't share, a part of me that, and a part of you that I didn't share. Unless we were all one, you and your mother and father, why, I'd be miserable, and it can never be that, Tony. I know that it couldn't.
Darling, every family has got curious little traits. What of it? My father raises orchids at $10,000 a bulb. Is that sensible? My mother believes in spiritualism. That's just as bad as your mother writing plays, isn't it?
It goes deeper, Tony. Your mother believes in spiritualism because it's fashionable, and your father raises orchids because he can't afford to. My mother writes plays because 8 years ago a typewriter was delivered here by accident.
Darling, what of it?
And look at Grandpa. 35 years ago, he just quit business one day. He could have been a rich man, but he said it took too much time. So for 35 years, he just collected snakes and gone to circuses and commencements. It never occurs to any of them.
Oh, excuse me, folks. I didn't know you was down here.
It's all right, Donald.
Reba fancied some candies and... Oh, here they are. You all don't want any, do you?
No? Donald, go right ahead.
Thank you. You guys have a nice evening?
Yes, Donald.
Ballet nice?
Yes, Donald.
Ballet nice?
Yes, Donald.
That's nice.
Now! Now do you see what I mean? Could you explain Donald to your father? Could you explain Grandpa? You couldn't, Tony. You couldn't. I should have known. I did know. I love you, Tony, but I love them too, and it's no use, Tony. It's no use.
Darling, there's only one thing you've said that matters, that makes any sense at all. You love me.
But Tony, I know so well.
Darling, don't you think other people have had the same problem? Everybody's got a family.
But not like mine.
That doesn't stop people who love each other, darling. Darling, won't you trust me and go on loving me and forget everything else?
How can I?
Because nothing can keep us apart. You know that. You must know that, just as I know it. They want you to be happy, don't they? They must.
Of course they do, Tony, but they can't change. I wouldn't want them to change.
They won't have to change. They're charming, lovable people just as they are. You're worrying about something that may never come up.
Oh, Tony, am I?
All that matters now is that we love each other. That's right, isn't it?
Yes.
Well then.
Tony.
Now, I'd like to see a little gaiety around here. Young gentlemen calling, getting engaged and everything.
And what do I say?
Well, first you thank the young man for getting engaged to you.
Thank you, Mr. Kirby, for getting engaged to me.
And then you tell him what it was about him that first took your girlish heart.
The back of your head.
Huh?
Uh-huh. It wasn't your charm and it wasn't your money. It was the back of your head. I just happened to like it.
What happened when I turned around?
Oh, I got used to it after a while.
I see. Oh, darling, think of it. We're pretty lucky, aren't we?
I know that I am the luckiest girl in the world.
Well, I'm not exactly unlucky myself.
It's wonderful, isn't it?
Yes, Lord, but I'm happy.
Are you, Tony?
Terribly. And now, good night, my dear. Until tomorrow.
Good night.
Isn't it wonderful we work in the same office? Otherwise, I'd be hanging around here all day.
Won't it be funny in the office tomorrow? Seeing each other and just going on as though nothing has happened.
Thank God I'm vice president. I can dictate to you all day. Dear Miss Sycamore, I love you. I love you. I love you.
Oh, darling, you're such a fool.
Why don't you meet me in the drugstore tomorrow morning? I'll have millions of things to say to you by then.
All right.
And then lunch and then dinner tomorrow night.
Oh, Tony, what will people say?
It's got to come out sometime. In fact, if you know a good house op, I'd like to do a little shouting.